Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Let's get it going, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there of the world. Welcome on in to the Sports Buffoons once again for you, walking right into a Week 1 NFL discussion here, going AFC West today. But first and foremost, you guys, we have to my left, Tanner Dawson.
What's up?
Then away from the studio today is Jason JG. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, yo? I'm keeping it light today. I got the Michelob Ultra Pure Gold.
I've heard that's pretty good stuff. I think you are keeping it light for your normal self. That's not an imperial
It
stout.
is very good, and more importantly, liquor before beer, you're in the clear.
Oh, so is that you're telling us you might have had some other festivities beforehand?
Now, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying liquor before beer, you're in the clear.
All right. Well, I don't know if I believe that or not, but Tanner, what are you sipping on?
Dr. Pepper.
Oh, where'd you get that from?
Oh, that would be Culver's.
Culver's.
The
Tanner
best-
with the Culver's. All right.
Best burger
All right.
in the nation, I think. So,
Very nice. I'll be sipping on a little bullet bourbon over here for a bit, so that'll be my drink of choice for the show. But great news, guys. We finally have done this. We finally made it all the way talking to AFC West because we've gone over every other gosh darn division in the NFL, made all of our predictions all the past 2 months now, and spoken to many awesome fans that have come onto the show and taken some time to be with us. And it's been a hell of a journey, I'll put it that way, Tanner, of getting all these fans' predictions of their own team, as well as just some banter here and there. We'd have some fans who maybe not agree with each other, like we had for the NFC North. I feel like those guys were kind of divisive in a way, as a healthy division should be, I would say. But today, Tanner, let's introduce our guest for the Chargers.
yeah. So, guys, we got Rob Logan coming into play for the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly known as San Diego. Rob, welcome in, dude. Glad you're able to hop on.
What's going on, guys? I am truly a Charger fan.
He truly is a Charger fan.
Yeah.
Trust me.
He's got the LT
Sometimes you
jersey in
don't-
the background.
Sometimes you don't admit that. Yeah.
That's true.
Hey, the Chargers are just one of those teams that they've come close here and there a few times, but just never quite pulled it off when it mattered. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I remember, when the Chiefs had kind of fallen off back in the 2000s, and then the Broncos weren't doing anything special when they had Jay Cutler. The Chargers were running that damn thing. I mean, you had Rivers, and LT was still in his prime at the time, and it was going well. And then I think they went, was it 15-1, and then they fired Marty Schottenheimer? Was that right?
So, it was something like that, right? It was a winning record for sure. And
yeah.
That was because Marty can never win the big one. That's what they always said. And his playoff record wasn't as good as his regular season record.
Right. We know that too from as the Chiefs experience. I think that Marty would go down as one of the best head coaches in NFL history that never did much that mattered in the playoffs. Maybe that never won a Super Bowl, even, I guess we could say. But because luckily Andy Reid got one for us recently, so
Yeah,
I guess
I
he
mean,
kind of finally
that's
got
another
over
guy
that
that couldn't win the big one till recently. So
Right. So, anyways, Rob. So, as far as the Chargers go this year, obviously everyone is kind of assuming that finally this is going to be the year where they truly are contenders with the Chiefs. Last year they were as well, down to the wire, down to the end. And it seems like every year that the preseason hope is that, this is finally going to be the year the Chargers win the AFC West, steal it back again. It's now been 6 years running with the Chiefs in front. I think if there was ever going to be a year, this one has got to be the one where the Chargers make this jump. So just looking at the roster, some of the additions they've made, I love the additions they made on the defensive side of the ball. Especially J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, those kind of guys. If healthy, it's going to be unstoppable. So just tell me kind of your feeling on the team right now as a Chargers fan.
Well, I mean, that's the big thing. Everybody seems to be picking the Chargers to have this incredible year, and a lot of people are picking them. When you look on a lot of the betting sites, they're actually in like the top 5 to win the Super Bowl as far as odds go. So, they're kind of like the trendy pick this year. They have a young coach, kind of like Scott McVay, who obviously won the Super Bowl last year. So they got a lot of things kind of going for them. But obviously, like you said, the biggest thing that they did, and the key, I think, to this year was going out and getting help on that defensive side. The offense did not lose games for them. I mean, they have a perennial MVP in Justin Herbert as quarterback. Everybody's saying, he should have a big year. He threw for over 5,000 yards last year, 38 touchdowns. So he's definitely the stud on the offensive side. You have some great receiving core, good running backs. They just picked up Sony Michel as a backup to Eckler. So they're doing all the right things on offense. But when they went out and, they went out and got Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, that really kind of set the stage for, for the defensive side. And I think that's where, they started to pick up momentum as being one of the better teams in the AFC. And, the West, it's a crapshoot. I mean, they're probably four of the best AFC West, divisional teams to put together. So that's going to be a tough division to win. But, they are the trendy pick. So I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope every year, though. So it always seems like something always seems to happen, but we'll see. Hopefully this year they get over the hump.
Yeah, when I see this team right now, I see them as being as complete as they've ever been before. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, matching up with the offensive side, you obviously have a great running back in Austin Eckler, who is one of the best pass-catching backs in the entire league. And what can we say poorly about Justin Herbert? I mean, his first ever NFL game, which wasn't technically a start because – or was that a start, actually?
It was a start.
I guess it was because
Tyrod never made it on the field.
He got poked. He got poked with the needle.
Right.
Yeah,
it was pregame, like an hour before the game. So it was a start. I just remember
he
he
got
almost
jabbed, right? Can we just say he got jabbed?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I just want to say, we saw him come out even in that game and almost end up beating the Chiefs in that game as your first ever game as a rookie. And the way he's even excelled since then is just incredible. I think the guy is a very special talent, and I know Jason agrees as well. We both think pretty highly of him as far as his future in the league. So I mean, compared now we know obviously the Chargers are a trendy pick, one of the best in the league. Like looking at the AFC West, I mean, what is the biggest concern in your eyes, being a Chargers fan and just coming at it and going, okay, how do we finally make this happen? Is it a regression from the Chiefs? Just tell me what you think.
Well, I definitely think when, in that division with the Raiders and the Broncos also improving their teams, they're going to have to, one of those two teams, they're going to have to sweep this year if they're going to want to get over that hump. I mean, most of the time, the Chiefs, they usually go, hopefully they split home and home, wins with them. So they're going to need to at least either sweep the Raiders or sweep the Broncos. Sweeping the Broncos could be tough now with Russell Wilson as their quarterback. They've made a lot of improvements. So I'm looking at the Raiders as that team that they need to go 2-0 against in the division to get them over that hump of the Chiefs. And, the Chiefs, I don't want to say they're a little bit of a question mark. I mean, losing somebody on the offensive side like they did with Tyreek Hill, that's a big name to replace. And I mean, obviously you have a great quarterback in Mahomes, but that's a little bit of a question mark. And I'm from New Jersey, so I've said this many times. I've been around Andy Reid's career coaching circle, and sometimes he seems to, kind of step in it every once in a while. And he had a lot of great teams with the Eagles. And never really made it. Yes, he finally won that big Super Bowl, but I'm hoping that, maybe he, kind of does something that, won't really be helpful for the Chiefs, and they'll get over that hump. Because I'm assuming that at least two teams will probably make the playoffs out of the AFC West. So all they really need to do is be one of those two teams. So that would be either first or second place to get into the playoffs. And then from there, the playoffs are really, what team gets hot. Having a quarterback like Herbert, he seems to be a quarterback that can go out and actually win games for you. as opposed to some of these quarterbacks who are just kind of managing the games and making sure, nothing, goes catastrophically wrong. So he definitely seems to be a quarterback that will go out there and seize the moment. So that's what we're kind of hoping for. Hopefully, we get one of those two top spots, make the playoffs, and then we kind of see what happens from there.
Is this offensive line one of the best, if not the best, in the last 10 years for the Chargers?
They got two first-round picks on the line, Slater and Zion.
Corey Linsley coming into play from Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the line to protect her. I mean, we're very excited about that. And, the offense is not going to be a problem for the Chargers. They're going to score points. They're going to be able to run the ball. Herbert's going to be able to drop back and throw the ball deep. You have two incredible receivers. And then you also have, who I'm really big on, Joshua Palmer, as their third kind of slot guy. So, the offense is not going to be the issue. It's just whether the defense comes together. They went out, they got the big names. They got Khalil Mack, bookend him with Bosa, and we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. JG, do you got anything? Any questions?
No, the thing with the Chargers for me is I just look at the AFC West as a whole in terms of the quarterback play from last year. And I see Justin Herbert as having basically the best season. He was kind of right there with Mahomes, if not slightly better, of all of the quarterbacks in this division, throwing for 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns, only 15 interceptions for Justin Herbert. Obviously, that defense was not that good last year, and I think it can only get better this year. The question for the Chargers for me is the same question that I've had for the last 10 years is can they stay healthy? And so you've got an aging Keenan Allen. You've got Mike Williams, who can always, he tends to get injured here and there. Eckler, I feel like Austin Eckler, he's a young guy. He should be able to stay healthy this year. I mean, they got Josh Palmer, as you alluded to. They're always a wild card in terms of their health. But if the Chargers can stay healthy, they're going to make the playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
There's no Raiders game taking them out this year.
Yeah, well,
essentially.
I have the Raiders making the playoffs as well, but the Chargers for me are a shoo-in. And the hot take right now, if you guys listen to the AFC West takes, there's a lot of guys out there that they want to say that all four teams are going to make the playoffs because it is mathematically possible that all four teams get in.
Man,
I don't see that happening. I think the Denver Broncos are on the outside looking in, but I could certainly see three of these teams in the AFC West getting in. But for me, the Chargers are the number 2 team, okay? Because there's nobody in their right mind is going to see the Chiefs not making the playoffs. But for me, the Chargers, they have the roster to be the number 2 team in the AFC West. And without a doubt, if their health is intact, they are going to be in the playoffs. And, who's going to want to face the Chargers in the playoffs?
Not me.
As a Chiefs fan, I sure as hell don't want to face the Chargers in the playoffs, but they're going to be there. And once you make the playoffs, dude, anything can happen. They could go to the Super Bowl.
A lot's going to depend upon too, seeding wise, whether home games, where they're going to have to go, if they make the playoffs and play somebody, away or home. The Chargers really don't have a huge home field advantage in LA. Maybe now if they are winning games, they'll get a bigger turnout. But in the past, it's never always been a 100% LA Charger home field advantage. So that could come into play a lot too, is where they're going to have to go. I mean, if they're a wild card team and they have to go into Buffalo to play, that could be a tough game, depending upon, how cold it is, elements and all that fun stuff. So I think seeding is going to be a big key too, as far as where everybody's going to go.
Yeah, I like Jason's point, by the way, just about how it's possible how all 4 teams in the AFC West could make the playoffs. It has happened a couple of times over the past 20 years. And I just want to say, like, when you think about the AFC West as a whole and these teams and the improvements they've made across the board, do you see any of these teams finishing under 500? Because I don't. And that's what it's going to require for all these guys to make the playoffs. And once you get in there, it's just going to be a bloodbath. I mean, we're going to be facing off for the 3rd time in one season, which is always a scary thing because you never know what to expect when that happens. And it's very difficult, as JG knows, to beat the same team 3 times in one season. So if someone goes up 2-0 on you, you face them again in the playoffs, you're almost going to feel good because you're going to be in that situation where it's like there's no way this team could beat us 3 times in this situation, even though we proved our point in the regular season. Playoffs is a whole different ball game. Anything can happen at that point. So I think it's very possible. I think that the Chargers defense is going to be what propels them this year more than anything, though. And you got Kyle Van Noy even. I mean, just a great veteran presence on the roster to go along with some of the other guys. And Derwin James is healthy right now. So it's going to come down to getting over that snake-bitten aspect of here comes the Chargers getting injured every year. And that seems to have been the issues for the past 10, 15 years, it seems like. It just feels that way anyway. But it's so far so good. And I like Joshua Palmer quite a bit as well. So even if something goes wrong with Keenan Allen, as JG might have been alluding to, I feel like they're going to be in decent hands with Palmer. So, yeah, Tanner, do you have any other questions for Rob?
I don't really. I mean, the Chargers, like I talked about on the AFC West show on Saturday on Let's Talk Sports with you, they're my favorite to win it. So they're overall, as long as they're healthy, they're the team to beat. So
even over Buffalo, because right now everyone says Buffalo is the actual Super Bowl team to beat.
Like the Chargers lineup way better than the Buffalo Bills, honestly. Okay. So I just think there's more pieces there. Gotcha. But okay. All right, let's do it. Prediction time. Rob, what are the Chargers finishing?
I do have them finishing first in the AFC West, and being either a possible 2 or 3 seed come AFC playoff time.
Very nice.
What's your record?
I'm going for either 12-5 or 13-4.
All right, JG.
Yeah, I'm going to go with number 2 in the division. I've got them at 10-7. I also have the Raiders at 10-7, but I've got the Chargers finally getting over the hump and owning that tiebreaker over the Raiders this year. So I'm going to go 10-7, second place in the West.
So Rob, we have this local guy here in Kansas City on the radio. He's actually predicting the Chargers go undefeated. We call him Chargers Dot. Is kind of his nickname. He's always picking the Chargers to do super well and win all their games. And this year he's putting in all of his Kansas legalized sports betting recently. So he's putting his free bets on the Chargers to go undefeated. But I'm not going to go that high. But I will say I think the Chargers go 14-3. I am a big believer in what they're doing at the moment. And I think that if they're not going to do it this year, I don't know when they ever will. And so to me, it's like you have a situation where, okay, the Chiefs have a little more indecisiveness from what we're used to at the moment, just because of the unknown, obviously. And then the Raiders are just going to be the Raiders, like always, I believe. Broncos might have gotten a little better at quarterback, but I don't think that defense has improved a whole lot, in my opinion. I just think the Chargers are going to be a great team. And from top to bottom, I just don't see a flaw when you look at them on paper. So that's why I'm going to go with them 14-3 and to finish number 1 in the AFC.
I got 13 wins for them. I think they lose one of these games against the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and the Colts and the Rams. One of those games they lose. Not all of them by far, but I think 13-4 is my prediction. First in the AFC West.
Now, we don't need too early of a prediction, but coming up week 2, obviously, Thursday Night Football, which is actually only 8 days away, right?
Yeah.
That's not very far away. We haven't even played week 1 yet, and here we're talking about this real quick. But any concerns? I mean, do you feel confident in the Chargers getting a victory at Arrowhead Stadium next Thursday?
Well, obviously, this is going to be the early test, and one big key to that puzzle will be if J.C. Jackson is back for that game. They're saying that possibly he might be ready for even this week, but they might just kind of keep him on the bench to be 100% sure he's ready for that Kansas City game. So I think that's a big thing on the defensive side for the Chargers, if he plays or not, because he definitely helps the defense and kind of moves people into other spaces because of how good he is and how he can protect one side of the field. So I think that's going to be the biggest key. But like you said before, Justin Herbert can, there's a lot that he can pull off. And if anybody can go in the Arrowhead and win, I think it's Herbert.
That one's going to come down to turnovers, in my opinion. Whoever can turn the ball over the least will get the victory in that game, in my opinion. It's going to be close. It's neck and neck. I mean, as the AFC West is. So.
I mean, look at both games last year, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
To the end.
That was one of the. I mean, for the Chiefs' sake, that was one of the most incredible games of our season last year. Was watching that in December, watching that Chiefs-Chargers game, and Kelsey making the play at the end, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's going to be like that for a few years with Mahomes versus Herbert, just because of the talent you have at that position. So it's going to be a battle, and I don't know which way I'm leaning at the moment. So we're going to save that on our show for a different day.
We got time. So well, Rob, I know you got to go to a different show. Go talk some crap for me on the Packers for Bodkins here. So I appreciate you hopping on beforehand, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk Chargers and talk with you guys. It was fun. Thank you.
Definitely. We'll get you on again. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Rob Logan, guys. So
there we go.
He fabulous guy. He does a lot of if you're in the Let's Talk Sports group too, he does put out an occasional bet here and there so to look at. So
there we go. Love having him on. Few and far between, though, to find a Chargers fan roaming in the wilderness and so open about it. And he's been a fan for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
He's a legitimate Chargers fan. It's almost like trying to find a Jaguars fan. That
was hard. Dude.
Difference is the Chargers have at least had a lot of success.
Find a Jaguars fan that's free. That's the tough part.
Imagine getting a Jaguars fan and a Chargers fan in the same room. That would be difficult.
I could do it.
That'd be like winning the lottery right there in some kind of ways,
It may be a Bears guy, right?
Yeah. All right, guys. So we gave a lot of our input about how we feel about the Chargers, obviously, but we still need to break down quite a bit about Broncos and Raiders. Let's talk a little bit about the Denver Broncos here for a minute and just kind of way we foreshadow some things with that roster. Obviously, they're a fun team to pick to do well this year with the addition of Russell Wilson and Javonte Williams stepping up here in year 2. And then, of course, assuming the receivers are going to be healthy this year between Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, this looks like a pretty decent team on paper.
Yeah.
I'll give them credit for that. This looks like a team that should be above 500 without a doubt. Now, I don't know how I feel about the addition of Randy Gregory. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's a lot to remain seen.
Production has never added up to his name and the talent he used to have at Nebraska. But how are you guys feeling? JG, I want to hear your input on the Denver Broncos, the state of the franchise, and how you see him finishing this year.
So for Denver, I think it was a great add to bring in Russell Wilson, right? So nobody thinks that was a bad addition to the team. However, it's going to be his first year on this team in this offense. He threw for 3,100 yards last year on the Seahawks. So, I think he's got to get his feet wet a little bit here. And I think the Broncos are going to be fine in the short to medium term here. But as far as like the first year is concerned, I've got low expectations from these guys. The reports out of camp were that, Russell Wilson was throwing a lot of deep balls, and that might be something that they try to rely on this year. But to me, that just adds up to a lot of boom or bust games. And so I think they're going to have a lot of great games, and I think they're also going to have a lot of bad games. Their defense last year, they were 3rd in points allowed and 8th in yards. And I don't see their defense performing to that level this year. I think they're going to take a step back on the defensive side of the ball. I think Russell Wilson having that finger injury from last year, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the same guy And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to see all 4 teams make the playoffs this year, but if it doesn't happen, Broncos are going to be on the outside looking in. So,
Interesting.
you know, I think they're by far the worst team in the division. But if we're talking about the next, 3 years, 4 years, obviously you got Russell Wilson. They made their team better, okay, in the short to medium term. But I don't see it necessarily panning out in year 1 with Russell Wilson.
Interesting take. Worse than the division.
Yeah. Hey, look, this division's really good.
It is.
So I mean, to call them the worst in the division doesn't necessarily mean
it's not a bad
that they're
thing.
a bad team.
No.
It's just, yeah, the Raiders have added a lot of great talent, Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones, and of course, they just have a good receivers in general right now. I mean, and Derek Carr seems motivated like always, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to be the worst in the division in the AFC West, because I think we all agree that they're probably all going to be over 500. Like, I think 9 wins is your minimum for whoever finishes dead last in the AFC West. I just don't know who it's going to be between Broncos and Raiders.
Yeah, it really come down to. I mean, they really don't have an awful team. The receivers are to remain seen. Really, Cortland Sutton can stay healthy. Judy can stay healthy. But KJ Hamler coming off that injury will be kind of interesting for Week 1. Outside of that, I said this on Saturday's AFC West show I was on for the Let's Talk Sports, and I can't remember the guy's name I was talking to with the Broncos fan, but basically starting lineup's great, but when it comes to depth on this Broncos team, that's where you start getting in trouble. When the guys start getting hurt and you have to rely on some of these depth guys, that's when you're going to get in trouble. And this is where that team's going to start really needing Russell Wilson to go out there and score 40 points. So that was my big thing when I was looking at this roster on Saturday was I don't like the depth at all. There's not a lot of depth, unlike the Chargers and the Chiefs. There's just not a lot there.
I think that's a great point, actually. When I look at this roster, I feel the same way, especially in the front 7. Now, they do have Bradley Chubb, obviously, but when you look at that front 7 across the board, I mean, if any of these guys go down, they're going to be in big trouble. And I don't see the talent there strong enough to be able to withstand a couple injuries along the D-line. And stuff like that, that's going to end up happening as the season goes on. Secondary-wise, they look great. But at the same time, your secondary is not going to be great unless you're able to sustain a pass rush. And Chubb's going to be a good player regardless, but I still don't, like I said, Randy Gregory has a lot to prove at his age and his lack of production in his career. And after that, there's a lot of guys on that roster that have never really done anything yet.
No.
In this
I
league.
mean, the secondary is not awful by any means. Obviously,
the secondary is fine.
Second, but like you said, if you're not getting that pass rush, well, I mean, the secondary don't matter if they're fine or not.
Right. And then, I think offensively, my main concern will be consistency from Russell Wilson. It was something he struggled with in Seattle, was being consistent on a week out basis. Obviously, he's got good receivers, but he also had really good receivers in Seattle as well. So it's not like it's this like huge step up for what he's working with right now. He still has to be the one to put it on the field, and running around going, let's ride and whatever, and getting all hypey all the time isn't going to win you ball games. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to make plays when they matter on the field.
And that offensive line isn't really that bad either.
No,
it's probably one of his better ones that he's going to be playing with.
I like Javonte Williams a lot. I think he's going to be great. Melvin Gordon's a really good RB2 if you got to have an RB2 right there.
Let me tell you what, this Broncos team's now set in case one of those two guys go down, because Mike Boone is not just a nobody there. He was actually effective in Minnesota. So he's a great guy to step in that place if it came to it.
All right, so you guys think that both their starting receivers play all 17 games? No. So that's going to be the issue to watch unfold. If KJ Hamler has to start a game, then you have a huge glaring weakness right there out the gate, and you're relying on either Judy or Cortland Sutton to be your primary player.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about not Hamler. I'm worried about what's after Hamler. Tyree Cleveland, a 7th rounder, undrafted free agent Jalen Virgil, and then Montreal Washington, the 5th rounder. I'm worried about this. Like, there's no Tim Patrick anymore, guys. Tim Patrick's gone for the year. So outside of that, you don't have depth in that receiving range. Any of those 3 go down, that's a worrisome for me.
Right. And I think they will be a run-based offense. I mean, I think that's their best way to get Russell Wilson on bootlegs, rollouts, play actions, is to get that run game going. Give Javonte Williams, somewhere around 250 carries this season. Give Melvin Gordon the rest. and I think you'd have a great thing going right there. I just don't know exactly if that's going to be the game plan going into this season. So, all right, guys. Anyways, with that said, we're not trying to bash the Broncos by any means at the moment, even though I would love to, because the last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs was in 2016, September 17th, I believe it was the day. I love that old stat. It's my favorite.
Does it end this year?
Does it end this year? Does the streak end this year? I think Chiefs have won 13 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I lost track at this point. I say that it does not end this year. I say the streak continues, goddammit, and the Chiefs will continue to beat the Broncos twice, heck, maybe even 3 times if everything falls right this year and all 4 teams in the AFC West to make the playoffs.
Let me tell you what, the Broncos having the Ravens before the Chiefs game the first time, then having the Rams before the Chiefs game the second time, that's not positive for the Broncos.
That's true. That's going to be difficult. That's going to be very difficult. So with all that said, record prediction, guys.
Jason, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go with 9-8 here. Like we've all alluded to, it's just very difficult division, probably the best division in the NFL. So I'm going to go with 9-8 here, and I just think that it's all about chemistry. You look at the other 3 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Herbert, Carr. Those guys are comfortable in those offenses. They've been there. They've done that. And I think Russell Wilson coming in his first year, he's not going to be as comfortable as those other 3 quarterbacks. So I'm going to go with 9-8 here. They're going to come in last place in the West.
All right. What do you got, Tanner?
I actually got 10 wins out of this one. 10 wins for the Broncos. Outside of really the Ravens, Cardinals, and Rams late in the season, I'm not too worried about their schedule otherwise outside of division. So I think they can come away with 10 wins on this one and finish third.
I got to go 9-8 for them as well, for the Broncos, because you're going to lose to the Chiefs twice. You're going to lose to the Chargers at least once, maybe twice. And then you're going to lose to the Raiders once. So to me, that's either 4 or 5 losses in the division alone. Plus, like you said, you got to face off the Ravens and the Rams. A lot of other tough talent out there.
Yeah.
And so with a new quarterback coming into this team, yes, the Broncos have gotten better offensively on paper. But you have to remember, so did everybody else. So at the end of the day, it's like there's just too much of a good thing going in the AFC right now. And it's just an incredible conference. So
yeah,
9-8, but it's going to be a healthy 9-8. So, if it'll give you some brownie points, Broncos fans.
May I notate too, the Broncos' last 6 games are against the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Chargers. That's their last 6 games going into playoffs.
If you're the Broncos, you better start off hot. Like, get out there 6-1, 7-1, because your back half of your schedule is going to be a doozy. So
it's gonna be tough.
That's my thoughts on the Broncos. So we had 2 9-8s, 1 10-7, and let's roll on over to talk about the Raiders, Tanner.
The Raiders.
That's right, the Raiders. We can't say it like we used to. The Oakland, right? It's not as cool to go the Las Vegas Raiders. It doesn't roll off the tongue quite so well as Chris Berman used to do.
Yeah, it's some
back
kind of party theme now.
Yeah, you gotta like have some like party Raiders Vegas, I don't know, nightclub, something. I don't know. But thing is, guys, this is also going to be another great team. I think Derek Carr is going to have to make a big step up. But is it too late for Derek Carr to make a step up? He's got his buddy Devontae Adams now in the house. And I don't know if it's too late, but he's getting to the point where it's like, dude, if you're ever going to be elite in this league, this is your last chance to make it happen, because I've seen him, coming from a Chiefs fan, be a failure more often than not. If you look at his record in cold games, it's pathetic.
Oh, it's
when
awful.
I'm talking about cold games, I'm talking about playoffs, guys. I'm talking about whenever games matter the most, why do you fail every damn time? It's pathetic. And so I look at this roster, and I like what they did. I love Chandler Jones, and I love what they're working with as far as getting Adams and the receivers. Tanner, I mean, tell you what, even my dad kept the receiver from Clemson that they got, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Had over 100
He's
receptions.
He's not a bad
last
pick
year.
at all.
Hunter Renfrow's a good player in this league. He'll be great on underneath slot routes. But Jason, I'm curious what you have to say. What is going to be your reasoning for why you think this is the year that Derek Carr becomes elite, or this team can contend with someone of the Chiefs' nature?
He doesn't have to be elite, dude. I mean, he threw for 4,800 yards last year. Meanwhile, he had to deal with the things that were coming out of there with John Gruden, Henry Ruggs, that was a complete dumpster fire last year, but he still managed to have a really good season, throwing for 4,800 yards. And I don't think he has to take a step forward in terms of becoming elite. He is already a very good quarterback. He does not have to be elite. They brought in Chandler Jones, like you said. They were 14th in defense last year in terms of yards per game. That defense could be a little bit better this year. But, like Derek Carr, he's the man, dude. Like, he doesn't have to be elite. He just needs to be who he is. And I think the Raiders are, they've already established themselves as far as, they own the Chargers, right? Like, they already put the Chargers out of their misery last year. And so the regular season is a different game than when you get to the playoffs. And I've got the Raiders having a very good record this year. And I think they're going to have a lot of confidence coming into this year, having lost to the Bengals, who eventually won the AFC. I mean, you can only go up from there. And so I just think that the Raiders are a little bit underrated this year. And as far as bringing in Davante Adams is concerned, I mean, I talked about chemistry a little bit earlier when we were talking about the Broncos. That's chemistry that you don't really need to build, because Derek Carr already had chemistry with Davante Adams in college, and they got a lot of weapons over there. It's all about weapons in this league. So, if I'm going up against the Raiders, I'm worried, man. I'm scared. I've got to deal with Davante Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, and those guys. So, like, again, if I'm playing against the Raiders in the playoffs, like, I want no part of that. But in terms of their record, I've got them coming in third place in the division this year, very close to the Chargers. But Derek Carr, don't sleep on Derek Carr, because, like I said, don't expect him to be elite. He doesn't have to be that. He's just a very good quarterback.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I think the Raiders are a similar team to the Broncos, honestly. They're outside of their starters, which I'm not even that impressed with the starters. Offensive line, I think, might be worse than the Broncos. But the defense actually has some depth there. That's about the only good thing. And then I think the other big thing for the Raiders that's positive for them, not positive for the future, but positive for the season, is you got a few guys that their fifth year, either they declined or the team declined. Josh Jacobs and Cleveland Farrell, both sides of the ball. They're going to be playing for some money contract coming on, whether it's with the Raiders or somebody else. So they're going to be balling. They should be trying to ball out at least. But outside of that, I think, Mike, you mentioned the cold games. Well, from October, yeah, literally not even October. They have one cold game from October 30th to the end of the season, and that's in Pittsburgh, Christmas Eve. Outside of that, they are home or they're indoors.
And that's going to make a big difference for Derek Carr. And I'm saying that from a statistical basis, that it will make an impact on how he does down the stretch of the season. Mm-hmm. And he better hope that they have some kind of home field advantage if the playoffs come along.
Yeah.
For this situation.
That's the big key.
That's going to be what he's going to need at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and this team is definitely, we all know, is playoff capable, especially when you got a guy like Davante Adams coming to play, leaving Green Bay. So that's me interesting there. But outside of that, I have them finishing last in the division, but it doesn't mean they're gonna have a losing record. It's just gonna be just too close here, and it's gonna come down to, once again, like the Broncos, it's come down to depth and health. Who's gonna be healthy in the end, and can they surpass it? The big key, big pickup on defense, though, that's gonna really help them out, outside of Max Crosby, of course, is Chandler Jones coming from Arizona with a winning program, a vet who's going to know how to turn that locker room the way he needs it to be. So, especially with Jonathan Abram there. So, I like Chandler Jones to be the key of this defense this year.
I do want to say Derek Carr is what he is, but the one guy that's a part of this team that does have a lot to prove is Josh McDaniels. Obviously, coming over, spent some time as head coach in Denver, failed over there, and has now got, obviously went back, spent time back with Bill Belichick, and now getting another opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL again. I'm sure Raiders fans would find it very ironic if he goes over there and is successful. He is, though, in my opinion, a downgrade for what John Gruden was as a head coach.
Correct.
So I don't by any means think that McDaniels is like this some kind of genius. He's been in these situations before and failed as far as being a leader of men. And I still never forget the Todd Haley moment at midfield after the game and the finger wag of, I've heard a lot talked about you. And, the hatred they had for each other. Maybe they both just got in a bar fight afterwards, being drunk all the time, because that's what they did best.
In that defense, too, we've seen a lot of head coaches throughout the years have a bad head coaching stint, go elsewhere, and then come back and be successful. Pete Carroll's one, right? Like getting the right guys around you. I never really got the right guys around in Denver, I felt. And so now he has that experience with Bill. He has that experience with a winning program. Now he can take this winning program and go about that way. That's my big thing with just McDaniels. I think it's a second chance, and I think it's the best second chance that he could have is going out, and he got players that are going to be effective.
Well, to me, it's going to be a battle for third and fourth place and the AFC West between them and Denver, which, hey, is going to make the games exciting to watch. I mean, these teams will be fun to watch without a doubt, because I'm curious to see how Russell looks in a Denver Broncos uniform, and I'm curious to see, if Derek Carr can prove me wrong, and as far as his, just game making plays when they matter the most and not crumbling under pressure and things like that. I want to see him continue to evolve on that down the stretch of seasons. So I guess we should discuss our record prediction then.
JG, record prediction time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 10-7 here. They are going to tie with the Chargers. I do have the Chargers owning the tiebreak this year. But the Raiders are going to be better. Like I believe in Josh McDaniels. I think a lot of times when you get that second chance, it could definitely go better. He's already got a built roster coming in. It's kind of like I think of him kind of like Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles, did horrible in his last head coaching job, but he could be a little bit better this time. So I'm going to go with 10-7 for the Raiders.
What you got, Tanner?
I got 10 wins as well, but Broncos own the tiebreaker. So they finished last in the division.
Interesting.
I really think this whole division set up for 10 wins at least.
10 for everyone gets 10?
Yeah, I think everybody gets 10.
Wow. Now I did say earlier that it's happened twice in the last, I think, 20 years where all four teams made the playoffs from their division. But this would be the first division ever to win 10 of all four teams. I
think so. I think they can do it as long as they're healthy. So
yeah. So going off of that, so I think Jason and I have had the most agreeing on record predictions, because I'm also going 10-7 based on my predictions. And yeah, it's going to be awesome battles all year long with them and the Broncos, and even the Chiefs for that matter. I would not be surprised to see the Raiders get one victory over the Chiefs this year, just with the way things shake out, and you never know when injuries could roll along and so on. So
that's true.
Still, it's going to be a good team to watch, and I'm just curious to see how things unfold with Josh McDaniels running the show once again. Or is he going to be a two-time failure in the NFL as a head coach? So we'll find out very soon. So
yeah, it'll be interesting too, because I mean, would he technically be coming off the Belichick tree if that's the case?
Right, absolutely,
So,
twice.
Somebody's got to succeed off that tree, right?
McDaniels is going to fail twice off the Belichick tree, so he's going to be a dead leaf.
To be fair, on the Belichick tree, Nick Saban didn't turn out to be too bad. Now, did he?
Yeah, and NCAA, his little stint in the NFL wasn't too pretty, but he kind of quit on his team halfway through there. But
good try.
At least we could say he's doing well with Alabama, so I'll give him that.
Oh man! All right, are we ready to talk about the team that we're all here for?
Look, guys, I want to mention we're about to do Settling the Kingdom here, and we're going to put out a preview show on Friday. So if you want a further breakdown of Week 1 and some more thoughts of just going into the season, check that out on Friday with us. We will absolutely be hitting that up. But let's dig into the Chiefs for a few minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, also, Mike was talking about our pregame show coming to play. That's going to be on our exclusive channel, Kansas City Chiefs channel, Settling the Kingdom. Go like, subscribe, hit the bell. That's where all our Chiefs content is going to mainly be. It's going to be there. Our pregame, our postgame, our live shows, our content during the week, the news, the rumors. That's the channel to go for your Kansas City Chiefs content.
Absolutely. And, the Chiefs fans out there listening, I appreciate you guys so much. I wish I had the footage of it to show you guys at the moment, but I tried to mow an arrowhead into my backyard Sometimes whenever your girlfriend or your wife is like talking about the yard needs to be mowed, you just gotta, get some creativity going and do things your way every once in a while. So I did my best arrowhead in the backyard. We'll have to show that on Friday on the Selling the Kingdom show, as a matter of fact. So check that out.
All right. So this is a non-emotional attachment to the Chiefs preview that we're going to give you guys.
All right.
This is not us being just fans. This is us being
Hey,
real.
we're not homers all the time by any means.
No.
We're Chiefs fans, but I think we're also realistic Chiefs fans, and we're not morons out there like
we're going undefeated.
And all that kind of nonsense, because we're going to tell it like it is, because we can handle it like real men who have been through things. Gosh darn it. I've had my heart stepped on as a Chiefs fan, so of course I can deal with the truths of the world. And with that said, you guys, so obviously the departure of Tyreek Hill is probably the big news of the offseason. They also lost Tre'Davious Ward, Daniel Sorensen, Ben Neiman. Those guys are actually addition by subtraction, getting them off this roster. But I love the additions we made offensively with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore. I know you're a big fan of him, Jason. So I'll let you take it off, man. What are you thinking about the Chiefs this year? We have not talked about this even very much independently together. So I want to know your thoughts on what you're thinking on this season.
Well, the first thing that I have to talk about is the fact that Patrick Mahomes just had his worst season of his career, okay? And when I talk about worst season of career, he was still a top 5 quarterback. So when I think about it from that perspective, it can only get better. I mean, he threw for 4,800 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 13 picks last year. And so when you think about Mahomes coming off of that quote unquote bad season that he had last year, it's going to be awesome this year, guys. I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid as a quarterback coach combination, you're going to do amazing things on the offensive side of the ball. And so we can sit here and talk about Kelsey and Juju and Sky Moore all day long. Those are just ancillary pieces, okay? Patrick Mahomes can make anybody work. And I'm telling you right now, that is a fact. That is not my opinion. Now, not to take anything away from Juju and Sky Moore and Travis Kelsey and all those guys. Those are great players. But when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you have a coach like Andy Reid, those guys will be better than you actually think that they are capable of being. But, after that, I look at the defensive side of the ball, they were 8th in points allowed last year. They allowed 21.4 points per game. They were 8th in the NFL. And I think the defense is going to be better this year. I mean, I think Frank Clark is going to be better because, everybody just sat there and complained all year long about how awful Frank Clark was last year. So I think he's going to be better. I love the addition of Carlos Dunlap. The pass rush, guys, is going to be better this year. You've got Willie Gay and Nick Bolton at the linebacker position. Those guys are just going to cause havoc all over the place. I love the speed of this defense. I love the addition of Justin Reed. I don't care about the fact that we lost Tyrann Mathieu. It doesn't matter because we just brought in a younger version of Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed. And so I think the defense is going to surprise a lot of people this year. And quite frankly, it's sad for me to say this, but I think Mahomes is going to surprise a lot of people this year because all I sat here and listened to during the offseason was how much better of a quarterback Josh Allen was, how much better of a quarterback Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. Oh my gosh, so many more quarterbacks are better in the NFL than Patrick Mahomes. And it's actually freaking hilarious to listen to these people. And they're saying things that they don't actually believe. Okay, so Mahomes, he's not going to take a step back. He's going to take a step forward this year. And all of these people that are sitting out there trying to tell you that Josh Allen is going to be the MVP and Justin Herbert's going to be the MVP. You guys just poked the bear, okay? And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to shit on Patrick Mahomes the entire offseason. And that's exactly what they did. And now all of a sudden you've poked the bear. Patrick Mahomes is pissed, and now he's going to come out with a vengeance. And so offensively, defensively, this team is going to be better this year. And I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think you can't give me a scenario where they come in worse than like first or second place in the division. And it's going to be fun to watch this year, guys. So it's a great time to be a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, you brought up a great point there about it being, maybe his worst season he's ever had. I know for a fact the last 2 quarters he played in an NFL game was the worst 2 quarters he's ever played.
It was pretty bad
in his career. I mean, it didn't even look like the same player. And he's talked about that a little bit this offseason, as a matter of fact, too. And just kind of, he for some reason was uncomfortable. He was trying to play it conservative, and that's not like him. That's not who he is. And he was trying to play it safe and just protect the lead. And I was like, this isn't Alex Smith. Hold on now. He knows better than that. You play to win the game, and you play to keep putting points up on the board. And him going through that experience of the failure he had against Cincinnati last year in the playoff game is going to be everything to propel his mindset going into this season of, let's not lay off the pedal here. Let's keep it going. Keep it pushing on that. And looking at the offense, the way I see it with Mahomes this year is that efficiency is going to be key. And there's been guys this offseason that have talked about Matthew Stafford and whenever he lost Calvin Johnson. And the great Marshall Faulk talked about this recently is that Matthew Stafford was actually going to be a better quarterback with the loss of Calvin Johnson because he's no longer having to worry about looking one direction or having one key piece that's supposed to be making this play here and there. As Mahomes talked about just yesterday in his interview, is that, sorry, fantasy guys out there, you're not going to be happy because the receivers week to week are always going to be different. Receivers week to week are going to be exploding in a different pace. It's not going to be one guy standing out all year long. You're going to be spreading the ball around, and some weeks it's going to be MVS, some weeks it's going to be Juju, some weeks Sky Moore is going to have 120 yards. And with all that said, as far as him becoming a more mature quarterback because of this, I love this defense, guys. This defense this year is incredible. And like I said, addition by subtraction, getting rid of guys like Daniel Sorensen and Ben Neiman from this roster, adding in place depth at safety now in this case. You got Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, drafting Brian Cook. Deion Bush made plays in the preseason. And then in the linebacker spot, obviously, Darius Harris stood out even in preseason, but also the drafting of Leo Chenal. What could you ask for better from what the Chiefs have set up now going into this season, other than maybe you could have asked for one more young pass rusher to be on this team, but you also have a Frank Clark who quit drinking and has started taking his diet seriously and had a heart-to-heart with Andy Reid and has now sacrificed a lot of the maybe the pleasures of life and stardom to focus back on football again and become a mentor for someone like George Karlaftis. It's going to be an incredible thing to see combine. And yes, the defense last year was 8th in points allowed. You're going to see better pressure this year. You're going to see a more mature defense. You're going to see a more well-rounded defense this year. Someone who, as I always say, bend but don't break, but I don't even know if they're going to bend very often. And I truly believe this defense has like top 6 potential. And that's what's going to be what makes this roster so awesome this year.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give you too much here. H4, by the way, you're telling me if the Chiefs won't miss Tyreek Hill, you have the credibility of a buffoon. Well, we are the sports buffoons. And second off, we're not going to miss him as much as everybody thinks. I think there's going to be more to go around than just to go to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce all day long.
I want to make one thing clear, you guys, is that Tyreek Hill did not make Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes makes bums look like pretty solid players. Bums like DeMarcus Robinson and extremely average players like Byron Pringle, who now is going to be barely touching the field for the Chicago freaking Bears. And you can make him your WR2 and actually look good in games. Patrick Mahomes propelled Tyreek Hill's career, not the other way around. So let's not get this twisted anyways.
I got to say one thing about that comment about Tyreek Hill. So if Tyreek Hill wasn't on the team last year causing all of those interceptions, how many interceptions do you think Patrick Mahomes would have? And if you think me as a Chiefs fan am going to miss having Tyreek Hill on the team, I'll give you that, dude. If Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins go out and win the Super Bowl this year, hey, man, I'll give it to you 100%. Yeah, sure. we made a mistake getting rid of Tyreek Hill, but that's not going to happen, dude. The Dolphins aren't going to win shit this year. So no, I do not miss Tyreek Hill, but I would much rather have all of those draft picks that we got for Tyreek Hill. That's what's more important to me.
So coming to street ball is over. Well, actually, it's just beginning again. So I hate to break it to you, dude. It's not a Patrick Mahomes degrade or downgrading. It's Patrick Mahomes readjusting, and now defenses are going to have to figure out Patrick Mahomes.
The street ball comment is just funny though, because it came from one idiot coordinator who refused to say his name out loud, by the way, to talk about street ball and to say, "Oh, you take away his first read, and look what he does. He runs around." And then Andy Reid goes out there and makes a joke about it too. And obviously, if you guys have paid attention, he does it with the best of them. So the guy is incredible, and the street ball idea is just laughable. That's the nicest way to put it, I guess.
All right, so back to here for my breakdown of the Chiefs real quick here. I won't say everything this guy said. I think one of the best parts I saw this offseason is after their loss against the Bengals, Veach almost decided just to clean house, right? We had guys from the 17th, year 16, 17, 18th round draft picks on our defense and offense for quite some time. Well, now there's not really anybody left outside of a couple guys of that defense, especially. And they went out and they drafted a bunch of guys. Now we kept all but one that we drafted going to play for this defense. And I think that's the best part is he just rejuvenated, right?
Yeah, you got it.
But yeah,
hey, wait a second. Is that a word that you just said, Tanner?
I think so. I don't know. I think I stuttered.
He's trying to make up a new word for rejuvenated.
You know how we do. So I don't know. I just think seeing the brand new young guys come out and play, certain guys getting now potential playing time, such as Colin Sanders going into play, Tershawn Wharton, you're going to see more of, and the Carlos Dunlap move coming over. This is a defense that's going to go out and hit. It's a defense that's going to fly. They're going to miss big plays, right? Stuff's going to go over their head. Runs are going to break out. Whatever, it happens. But for the most part, you're going to see guys going out there hitting. You're going to see guys go out there trying to make the play, in for this defense. And I think they will be better than what everybody thinks. Offense, I'm not too worried about it really. I think it's going to take maybe some slight adjustments with the receivers, obviously, because you're coming in now into full gameplay, ready to go. But if the preseason's anything to say, which, normally we don't take too much away from there, he's not going to have much of an issue going into play here. So, and on top of that, not only do you have 5 wide receivers that are, they've been working with Mahomes and everything, with Blake Bell going to the IR, now you have 3 receiving tight ends to go on top of your running backs and wideouts going into play. So he can throw to anybody. I just think it's literally going to be a different style of Mahomes and Reed. And I think that's why Reed's still sticking around, because he's like, I feel young again with Patrick Mahomes, and why not? Why not go at it? So I'm not too concerned about the Chiefs, and they have the depth. That's the big key. What I said about the Broncos and Raiders, no depth. These guys have depth there, and I think they're going to prove it this year. So I like the Chiefs this year.
All right. Well, Jason, how are you feeling record-wise about the Chiefs finishing up this year?
I'm just playing it conservatively this
Chiefs
year,
don't
guys.
have
You guys know in terms of gambling and everything else, I'm a very conservative player. So I'm going to go with 12-5 here. I think for me that's their floor. You're not going to see anything worse than that this year. I think Mahomes, after having that quote-unquote bad year that he had last year, there's only one way to go, and that's up. So I'm going to go 12-5 here. I think it's conservative. Not going to shock me if it's better than that.
Well, now that we can eliminate the turnovers caused by Tyreek Hill, we have to look at this team and understand how efficient they're going to be combined with the improvements on defense. And to me, this team is a shoe-in for 12 wins every single year. I got to go 13 here. 13 wins, 13-4, just underneath what I said with the Chargers were going to be. I had the Chargers, as you guys heard earlier today, 14-3. I had them winning the AFC West, but Chiefs at 13-4, and I think they're going to be tied record-wise with the Bills in the end.
I got, as I said on the Chiefs season preview show on Settling the Kingdom channel, 12-5. 12-5. I think we
Well,
finished
that's the thing.
second, but I mean,
The over under right now is 10.5 on Kansas sports betting. So I mean, you got to hammer that while you can out there for you bettors. That would be, if I had to make an easy money bet of the year, that would be my easy money bet of the year. Is, put all your bankroll on the Chiefs to go over 10.5, because that's just an easy one right there.
yeah.
So
And it's gonna be a tough one early, especially. So,
well, guess what, man?
We're excited for it. So.
HH4, it's difficult every year. When you're as good as the Chiefs are, every single year you're going to have a difficult schedule. And does it matter in the end? No, you still win 12 games every damn year.
Yep. Thanks for commenting, HH4. Appreciate it. So, all right, guys. So we gave our Chiefs prediction, right? So we gave our Raiders prediction, we gave our Broncos prediction, and we gave the Chargers. I think we're finally wrapped up on divisions.
Thank goodness. We did it. We covered every single division over the past 2 months, have led up to this moment. And if you guys are interested in any of our intakes and also the awesome fans and people we've had on the show the last 2 months, check it out on the channel. We put up all that stuff on there. But I'm ready to break down some nitty-gritty stuff here. I'm excited for the future here.
So real quick here, before we do wrap up, I got a couple of things for you. Well, first, I want just a really quick thought of what you're thinking of week one and what to expect. And then we'll break down our quick fantasy team lineup real quick for week one. So JG, what do you got week one that's quick? Like, what are you thinking here week one is going to happen as a whole, not just Chiefs, but as a whole for week one NFL?
I mean, this is kind of the game I couldn't get my head around when I was making my free bets there on BetMGM. I wanted no part of that Thursday night game, Rams versus Bills, because I don't know which way it's going to go. But I think the Bills are going to win that game. I think the Rams are going to be on a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. So I think that's going to be my biggest takeaway from week one is what the hell is going to happen in that game, because like I said, I think the Bills are going to win, but who knows? I mean, the Rams, they don't have a really good fan base. And so that's why it's difficult for me to figure out what's going to happen in there. But outside of that, I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a great year. That's why I drafted him on my fantasy team. And I think the Ravens are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC.
Yeah, I like the Ravens quite a bit too. I think this game coming up tomorrow night is going to be exciting, man. It's going to be between two of the best teams in the entire NFL, and I wouldn't want to kick it off any other way. Everyone's picking the Bills on this, and they're favored right now by 2.5 points. I just want to say, let's not forget that the Rams just won the Super Bowl, and that team is also spectacular with the best receiver in the NFL statistically on their roster. And, obviously a happy Matthew Stafford too. And Aaron Donald still exists as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes. But so I know you and I disagree on this one too, Jason. The Colts and Texans line has now moved down to Colts by 7. So it went from 8.5 to 7. I'm taking the Colts to cover that 7 for sure. So I just want to throw that.
Wow. See, I had Houston. I got in on Houston at 8.5. Right. So I've got Houston to cover the 8.5.
Right.
Jason, I know you didn't like that division either very much, but if you wanted to make a, for fun bet there on BetMGM, I believe the Texans winning the division's like plus 8,000 or 3,000 or something like that. So if you want, I mean, if you don't think the Colts and Titans are worth Jack, and I don't think Jacksonville is worth anything, you might as well put down like $5 for it.
No, the Colts are going to run away with that division. I'm just talking about week one. Like,
okay.
No,
it's out there.
Seriously, when you're in that division, nobody cares about what happens in week one. Like, everybody knows the Colts are going to win the division, so why would they even show up? That's why I think the fact that I got in on the 8.5 for Houston, I think that's a great bet. I mean, it's a divisional matchup, and like, quite honestly, the Colts, do they really even care about that game? I mean, is Shaq Leonard even going to play? Like, I
think he is. He's out practicing. So, by the way, they should care because they would be a week late. They should have made the playoffs last year, lost to Jaguars last week, and got kicked out of the playoffs to the Jaguars, so they should care about this game, or otherwise they're just going to continue losing to
Well,
bum teams.
Jason's not picking the Texans to win, I don't think. Maybe I could be wrong, but
No,
just to
hell
cover
no.
the spread.
Oh,
Just to
okay.
cover the spread.
Just
Dude,
cover the spread.
I got 8.5 points. That's why I picked the Texans. I got 8.5 points.
I got the Vikings to
All
win
right.
as well. I just want to throw that out
I
there.
do, I do too. My big matchup here is actually the Buccaneers and Cowboys. Interested to see exactly these two teams already face off for Sunday Night Football. I'm actually really excited because some of my guys are there. I have them on fantasy team, so I don't know. See what Zeke looks like, the Dak looks like, see what the defense looks like for the Cowboys, and see what Brady and his weapons can do. Chris Godwin could possibly play as well, so watch out for that.
All right.
He's been practicing.
Be
We'll
another
see.
fun
I don't
game.
think he should, but we'll see. All right, guys, let's let me get my ESPN.
Now we
team.
got to set our lineup. You remember that surprise fantasy team we made the other week, Jason?
Yeah. That's when we
yeah.
drafted Cam Akers and
James Robinson.
James
Yep.
Robinson and Cam Akers. That was an amazing draft.
Let's take 2 minutes to set our lineup before we wrap this puppy up.
All right, let's see here.
Here we go. Here's the team that Tanner did not tell us was a legitimate draft until the very end. But
What fun is
this is
that?
what we get to work with. This is what we get to work with.
I don't know
for the
why you
year.
guys think it would be a mock draft. Like, come on.
It's not
still-
bad.
I like our receivers a lot, though. We got CeeDee Lamb, Evans, and then DJ Moore obviously on there. So I think the receivers turned out pretty good.
Bateman.
We got on
So-
the bench.
Yeah,
We
on the
got
So
on the
bench.
bench.
are we going to go? So obviously we're going to go Gainwell or Hunt.
Yeah, we
No,
got to
hell no.
consider. Well, you
Kareem
got to
Hunt.
look. Hunt has to go in for Tanner. Would you sit? It's
Sorry.
still... Okay, the only guy Hunt would replace though would probably be Cam Akers, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Do we just want to roll with it as is?
Let's maybe just let Cam Akers play for the week and see what the heck happens.
I'd put Kareem Hunt in there, dude. Screw Cam Akers. He sucks.
Is he gonna get injured again?
He sucks.
Honestly, I don't mind Kareem Hunt being in there, but
So all right, let's vote.
great, we're gonna do it by vote.
3-2. So
It's just week one.
Right.
We can give up a loss like the Colts.
So Jason,
right?
Akers or Hunt?
Kareem Hunt. Bench Cam Akers.
Akers or
He
Hunt?
sucks.
I'm gonna go Akers.
I'm going Hunt.
You going Hunt? Okay. Hey, I was cool the other way. That's fine. Are we set now?
No.
Tanner?
I
Is that-
should have done Gainwell.
No, screw Gainwell.
All right. Anybody else good on the bench?
The only
Our-
people on the bench is Irv Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Akers, James Robinson, and Kenneth Gainwell.
We don't have any backup quarterbacks. We have Tua. That's it.
Dude, backup quarterbacks are bums.
We got Tua. We got to have Tua to Tyreek all day, I guess.
You don't want to throw Brandon Ayuk in the starting lineup?
Over DJ Moore?
I don't know.
I mean, we got Bateman and Moore in the flex, and then Lamb and Evans in the starters.
Okay. Yeah. I guess you're going to sit him on the bench.
I think he'll be all right. Like, I know it's the Bears they're playing, but I don't know. I'm interested to see what this DJ Moore.
Wait a
connection is.
second. Is George Kittle, is he even going to play?
George Kittle?
Yeah.
I haven't heard nothing on that.
You guys debating. We got to keep the receivers the same.
All right. Well, whatever.
Receivers are fine, dude.
Could miss week one. I didn't hear about this yet.
Yeah, the receivers are fine.
I think we're okay.
Let's come back to this next week and see what we need to add or whatever we need to
All
do.
right. So our matchup here, does it not give you the total? Oh, there it is. We are projected to lose to Mr. Winter.
I like that. I like being projected to lose. It's always fun.
He said Jackson, Kamara, Barkley, Jefferson, Waddle, Joku, Schmooster, Woods. Woods playing?
AC let us know that Kittle did not practice today. So, yeah, I don't know if he's going to play or not, but I think it's for our fantasy team's sake might be irrelevant.
All right. I think we're good.
Because I think our receivers are good and we need to leave them alone.
All right. We'll update. Got you. Thanks, Stacey. So we'll update you guys how we do week one next week, of course, as we set our week 2 lineup going to play. But yeah, other than that, you guys got anything else?
I'm just looking forward to getting the NFL season underway here tomorrow night. So obviously it's my favorite time of year. The weather is getting nicer. I'm going to Colorado tomorrow morning and it's going to be chilly out there. Like it's going to be down in the 50s. This is going to be insane because I'm used to just sweating my balls off every day out here in Kansas City. So I'll be looking forward to a little crisp air out there with good old John Denver.
Gotcha. JG?
I'm looking forward to gambling season, dude. When it gets colder, you got to be doing some gambling. And now that we're in the state of Kansas, we can do some sports gambling.
There we go. Guys, tomorrow night, I guess right before the game, pregame on Let's Talk Sports. Postgame, I'll be on postgame on Let's Talk Sports as well with Mr. Mad New Yorker Carlos and Jeremy Smoking B. So make sure you guys hop in for that. And then we'll be back on Sunday. And if you haven't yet, go subscribe. Selling the Kingdom, our Chiefs exclusive channel. We're gonna get a show out there Friday, and then we're gonna also, no matter what, we'll have a pre and post game. So
We're gonna have a post game at least right after the game
We'll have a
on
pregame.
Sunday.
Don't you worry.
I thought Friday was the pregame, Tanner.
No, Friday's the week 1 preview.
I might
dude.
be drunk.
You're always drunk. Anyways, guys, go subscribe, follow, like us. Sports and Foons, Selling the Kingdom. JG.
We're out.
Was he trying to do the helium thing? I don't think that's how it works. You have to have
No, I
helium
don't
in the
think-
balloon. Okay.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.